You ever cook something so good that your friends literally grab you and say, "You have to sell this"? Well, that dream of turning your passion for food into an actual real deal business is a lot closer than you might think. Today, we're going to break down the 4-step recipe to make it happen. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's a dream so many of us have, right? But then the reality hits. The path from a great idea to, a grand opening can feel, well, totally overwhelming. You start thinking about permits, websites, loans, and suddenly you're asking, where do I even start? It's just so easy to get lost in all those details before you've even cooked a single thing. But what if there is a secret recipe for the business itself? A simple 4-phase playbook that just cuts right through all that noise. We're going to walk through it step by step. First, validate. Then you build the foundation. Then you build, and finally you launch and grow. Trust me, this is the framework that takes all the chaos out of the process.
Okay, let's kick it off with phase 1, the smart start. Now listen, this is probably the most important part of the entire journey. Why? Because it's all about answering one single crucial question before you spend a dime or even think about quitting your day job. Will anyone actually pay me for this?
The key to this phase is a little something called a minimum viable product, or MVP. The biggest mistake people make is they try to be perfect from day one. Forget the fancy website for now. The MVP is the scrappiest, simplest version of your idea you can use to get real feedback and, most importantly, your first sale. Remember, at this stage, you're learning, not earning. That's huge.
And this scrappy approach, it applies to pretty much any food business you can think of. So, you're thinking of a gourmet meal kit service? Your MVP isn't some complex subscription website. Nope, it's a single post on Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm making 20 pad thai kits for $30 this Friday. Who wants one?" Dreaming of a mobile coffee cart? You don't buy the whole truck. You just rent a spot for one day at a local farmer's market. The goal is the exact same for all of these: fast, cheap validation.
Okay, so you did it. You sold your first 20 meal kits. People actually want what you're making. That is your green light. And now we move to phase 2, the legal foundation. All right, this is the less glamorous part, I'll admit it, but it is absolutely essential if you want to build a real, lasting business. This quote right here from a mobile coffee cart business plan, it just perfectly captures the reality of the entire food industry. Getting your permits and your licenses and your certifications all in order, it's not just some box you have to check. In a lot of ways, it is the business. This is what separates a fun hobby from a professional operation.
So here's the deal. This is your non-negotiable checklist. I don't care what you're selling. Hot sauce, coffee, meal kits. You're going to need food handling certifications. You'll need access to a licensed commercial kitchen. You need the right business permits for your town or city. And you absolutely need liability insurance. Yeah, it might seem like a lot, but this is the bedrock. You build everything else on top of this. Get this right, and you're golden.
So, with that legal foundation set, we can finally move on to the fun stuff. Phase 3. Building your brand. This is where you take your proven concept, the one people are already paying for, and you start to build the professional assets and systems that are going to let you operate at a much larger scale. And this transformation is so cool to see. Remember those handwritten recipe cards for your meal kit? Well, now they become a professional website with an actual ordering system. Delivering everything yourself in your car? That evolves into sourcing proper insulated boxes with ice packs. A one-off menu item you tested? That now becomes a rotating 4-week menu. See? This is the gear up phase.
And that brings us to the final phase, phase 4, launch and grow. You've validated your idea, you're legally sound, you've built a professional operation. Now it's time to get the word out and really start building a loyal following.
But here's the thing, launching smart is the key to survival. Let's take a ghost kitchen. That's a delivery-only restaurant. They often have to rely on the big apps like DoorDash or Uber Eats. The problem? Those apps can take a huge chunk of your revenue. We're talking up to 30% on every single order. For a small business, that is a total margin killer.
So what's the counter move? Well, this is where that targeted niche marketing comes in. It's so clever. Instead of just paying that massive commission forever, you do something simple. You include a little flyer in every single delivery bag that says something like, "Love our food? Get 10% off your next order by visiting our website directly." See what you did there? You use the app to find the customer the first time. Then you work to own that relationship yourself.
And this targeted approach, it works for every kind of food business.
Look, smart marketing isn't about being everywhere. It's about being in the right places. For those meal kits, it means partnering with local food bloggers who already have a trusted audience. For that coffee cart, it's about realizing that booking one profitable private wedding is way better than just hoping for random foot traffic. And for your hot sauce, it's about winning an award that you can slap right on the label. It's all about focused, strategic effort.
So there it is. That's your 4-phase playbook. It's pretty simple when you break it down, right? First, validate your idea with a cheap, scrappy MVP. Second, build that legal foundation with all your permits and insurance. Third, build out your professional brand and your systems. And fourth, launch and grow using smart niche marketing.
This framework, it turns a totally daunting dream into just a series of achievable steps. It proves you don't need a huge investment or some massive 100-page business plan to start. You just need a testable idea and the courage to take that first step. So, let me ask you, what's your first MVP going to be? What's that one small step you can take, maybe even this week, to bring your food dream to life?